Now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, traders. Okay, welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. Risk disclaimer, trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. So what we're going to do in the webinar is define what Bookmap is, learn how to connect Bookmap to the markets, how you get Bookmap, and then we'll look at the basic elements in the user interface, what Bookmap is showing you, and then we'll start to read some of the basics in the order flow. Okay, so now when you subscribe to Bookmap, it comes with education. Okay, so there's a 4-part educational course you get access to. You can access it at any time. It's always good to review that and then come to the live webinars that start at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Those are for subscribers, where we go through the same educational process in the course, but we do it in a live market so you can understand what the order flow looks like in the live market that Bookmap is displaying. And then based on our analysis, we start to anticipate where price will move due to the order flow. Okay, so therefore we have this basically kind of a 2-part education here. One is static, or you can access it at any time. The other one is dynamic. You can see the same processes, but in the live market. Okay, so that's the advanced order flow. It's every day at 11 a.m. Okay, now usually we give out the link to check that out on Friday, so you can get a taste of what that webinar is all about. Okay. All right. So let's jump over to the Bookmap website and just go through some of the basics here. Okay, I need to scroll down here. There's an intro video in the beginning here. More information about Bookmap, just general information. Come down to Bookmap for U.S. equities. We'll cover this in just a minute. A bit further down, connectivity. Okay, so this is where we'll stop. Let's define what Bookmap is. We're a software trading platform. We have a unique way of visualizing the market data. That is our edge. Okay, and that is our distinction between other platforms that are out there. We are not a data provider nor a broker. So we cover or allow connectivity to 3 different types of markets: digital currencies or cryptocurrencies, futures, and U.S. equities. Okay, now the access to the digital currencies, that is free. Okay, the data is free. It's from GDAX Exchange, and there are others that are going to be added shortly to OKCoin and BitMEX. Okay, so that's digital currencies. Now, for the futures and for the U.S. equities, you will need to provide the data. Okay, and this is how you connect. You have CQG, Rhythmic, Gain Capital, IQ Feed, Transact, and then Dev Experts. The Dev Experts is for U.S. equities. So let's scroll up here and we'll go over this. So with the U.S. equities, you can connect via DX feed for NASDAQ Total View and EDGX or BATS. Okay, so those are the, or you can get both of these together, a consolidated feed. Okay, what is the symbol for NQ? George, it really depends on your broker and who you're connecting with. So if you're looking for the NASDAQ E-mini, it really depends on the broker. A lot of them, it will be NQ. It's the U contract for September, and then 8. It could be NQU18. It really depends. Anyway, let's just move on here. Unless you know, let me know your broker, and that can help you out there. Under connectivity, okay, so there are 3 different platforms that are listed here as well. So you can connect via the API of these 3 different platforms. So for futures data, for Ninja, TTX Trader Pro, and Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation. Okay, so you have that option as well. It is recommended, though, to connect directly to the data provider like Rhythmic or CQG and the rest that I listed here. Interactive brokers, I don't know, George. I'm sorry. You're going to have to look that up. It'll be in the Traders Workstation, Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation, and it'll give you the symbols list there. Another way to do it as well is in Bookmap. You can come up here under Help. Okay, click on that, and then go to Symbols here. Okay, and what that'll do is it'll bring up a web page on our website here, and then you can see IB Exchange and Interactive or Traders Workstation here, and then you can look up NQ here. Okay, so yeah, so it looks like it's NQ, month, and then year. Okay, on the Globex. Okay, yeah. So there's always that reference, and just be aware of that. All right. So we've defined what Bookmap is. Now you know how to connect it to the 3 different markets. Now let's go over how you can get Bookmap. Okay, you can subscribe yearly for a 20% discount, or you can subscribe monthly here. And then you'll see the different versions here. Let's go over some of the distinctions here. So there's digital and then there's global. So for the digital market, the digital currencies, there's 2 different versions here. And then for the global, which includes all markets, okay, digital as well as US equities and futures data. Okay, so you can see the digital version here is free, no credit card required. You only get access to 1 digital currency. Okay, that's it. It is live and the data is free. So you can always check out a live market in Bookmap with the free version. Okay. Now the Digital Plus version, what this gives you is the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart into a GDAX account. If you have a GDAX account, you can record and replay the data in Bookmap, which is excellent for learning about your trading, debriefing, or studying different scenarios. You get up to 20 different digital currencies at a time. Okay. You also get access to the advanced education and full support. Okay, the digital version only has limited support and limited education. All right, let's move on to the global. So the global includes everything in Digital Plus, but you also get the ability to connect to futures and US equities. Okay, that's the only distinction. It includes the advanced education and all of that. All right. And then the Global Plus version, okay? The distinction here are the add-ons, okay? All of these add-ons that you can see here. One is the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart into a live account. So it's a great feature because you have the liquidity heat map in front of you. So why not like front run high liquidity to try to get higher probability of getting filled. Hide your stops behind high liquidity so you have higher probability of not getting stopped out. Large lot tracker here. We've seen this many times, and even in these webinars here, we've covered it. Certain price levels, well, there will be one large player, specific player, holding the majority of that liquidity. It's important information to know. He's skewing the auction, he's skewing the book, it's affecting the market, it's a larger player, and we can identify them. The imbalance indicators for both the book and for volume. Iceberg tracker here, we have actually two different ways of tracking that now. It shows, again, larger players that are hiding their high liquidity. They don't want to show it. Okay, they don't want to skew the book. They don't want to affect the market. They want to get filled quietly. So they'll use an iceberg order. Correlation tracker, add different markets right onto the Bookmap chart. So this is especially useful for the equities, U.S. equities, have the NASDAQ composite up, for example, and look at some of the tech stocks, etc. All right, so that's how you can subscribe to Bookmap. Okay, just go over a few more resources here. Social media, you can follow us on Twitter at bookmap_pro. All sorts of stuff here. And then our YouTube page. This is basically the basic education. There's some intro videos here you might want to watch. features and components, brush up on all the different features here. And then the video snippets. This is what we go through in the advanced order flow webinar, but in a lot of detail and a lot more than just this. You get access to these very short, concise videos here that give you the concept of the order flow phenomena that Bookmap can visualize. Okay, and that's where you're going to get your edge. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at Bookmap and see what's going on here. Looking at the NASDAQ E-mini here. All right, well, I've got a bunch of indicators here on the Bookmap chart. We're going to really simplify it, so we're going to boil it down to just 3 elements on the Bookmap chart. That's the basic view anyway. So we have a cumulative volume delta sub panel here. I'm going to close that up. Okay, and then I'm going to turn off our iceberg detectors. Okay, and our VWAP, historical VWAP, which is great indicator, like it a lot. And then our point of control indicator there. Okay, so here's the Bookmap basic chart. What are you looking at here? Okay, for those of you who are new, it probably looks pretty daunting. A lot of different information here. Well, it's actually very straightforward. There's no derivative here of time, price, or volume. That's actually a lot more complex than what is being displayed here. This is truly and very objectively the market. Okay, these 3 elements: historical and current best bid and offer. Okay, the volume dots here that traded, these are transactions that took place on the historical best bid and offer. Okay, and then the 3rd element is the heat map. Okay, and all the heat map is this orange, yellow, kind of bluish area here. All it is showing you the evolution of the auction. Okay, it's your depth of market, your dome. All right, so let's zoom in here, and I'll just go over that one quickly. Okay, because everything to the left of the vertical white line that you see here is historical. This is all historical data. This is just what happened. Okay, everything to the right is current market. So here's our current best bid and offer right now. Okay, here's our price ladder here. This number is the last traded volume. Then you can see our depth of market here, our COB column, which stands for current order book. Okay, so and all it is the dome. Most of you are familiar looking at a dome, and here it is in Bookmap. And it's these are sellers up here providing contracts for liquidity. This is where they want to sell. Okay, down below, they're on the bid. This is where they want to buy. This is what's making the market, is this auction here right now that's making this market. All we're doing is taking these numeric values in the dome, and then in this window here with the best bid and offer, we're just making a graphical representation of those numeric values. Okay, so very high liquidity here is painted in the heat map. And you can see right away, I know there's high liquidity up here. 59 contracts and 40 contracts right there. Now 60 contracts. Okay, now we just traded through that area. Okay, so we found buyers. They took these guys on. They traded through that area. We're getting a small pullback to where we just broke from here. And let's see if they show up again and maybe get up into 73.17. Okay, or maybe this is a high here, and maybe we'll find sellers try to rotate in below this 73.14 area here. It's looking pretty bullish for the moment, so I'm looking for higher highs. We're just about to the 17 level, and then 18. And then where are we targeting? Well, we're very simply looking at where there's a market to be made at 18, okay? At 20, at 21 up here, etc. Okay? You can see this player coming in and out at 17. Okay? So that's what we're doing here, is we're taking the dome, making it graphical in this window here, but then we record it and then place it on the chart historically. So that's all the heat map represents. Okay, now look at this guy pulled at 17, okay, the larger player here, okay, because it's gotten darker here. So this area here, this is what is the adding and pulling of liquidity. They started to add liquidity in as it got brighter here, and then then they pulled. Okay, now he's back in again. Okay, the scale of the heat map is up here. Okay, very bright, or I mean, sorry, very red or orange area is very high liquidity. Then yellow is a little bit less. Then white, then blue, and then black is the least. Okay, now you can adjust the heat map any way that you like to show details, etc. Right? We have some sliders up here. You can click on it and play around with all sorts of stuff here. Okay. This is the setting I have right now. It seems to be working pretty well for me, so I'm just going to keep it. Okay, so we've gone over one element here on the Bookmap chart. Okay, that's the liquidity, the heat map. Okay, for both current and historical market. Now, for those of you who are familiar trading from a DOM, you understand that it's pretty difficult to trade on higher time frames from the DOM. Because you can't track all of that data. When these numbers change, that information is gone. Okay, it is historical and it's not recorded in your DOM. It's just a new number that is refreshed. Okay, so you're able to now use, because we record it here, you can use the DOM on much higher time frames, because here they are. Okay, we've got a record of where they are in the auction. Right, so look at these areas down here. We're really starting to unfold truly what's going on in this market. Okay, down at this 72.85 area, pretty interesting stuff. Like there was a larger player started to come into the market here at 9:15 pre-market. Okay, this is known before the cash open. Okay, and he's down here with high liquidity. Okay, you can also see this guy here and these guys here. They actually transacted. Okay, the market came right down into them, and it had more sellers as well. They came through them. But we get a pretty nice bounce, almost back up to the open, or back up to the open. I'm sorry, not up to the high though. And then we come right back down, and then look at this area here. Okay, this is bullish. Why is this bullish? These guys are front running the high liquidity down here. Okay, at 72.85. Okay, here they are in front. As price is coming down, they want to be buyers. They're adding in. Okay, we don't even get to those areas here. In fact, the sellers never come into it further. Starts to go back and forth. We find buyers. We go back and forth here. We come back down to test again, and they jump right back in. Very aggressive here. Okay, this is a bullish sign in the book. Okay, they want to be buyers. They're climbing up over one another to be buyers. Okay, well, when we see this, and then we're looking for the aggressor as well. Okay, the market buys and the market sells, which truly move the market. Okay, and where would the target be? Would be this high liquidity up here. Okay, that's already been in here for a bit. We come right to it. Okay, and we trade it. It's not a fib level. Or it could be a fib level. It could also be a pivot point, but it has to deal with the liquidity. This is the key, and this is what Bookmap can visualize for you. All right, so it gives you quite an advantage here. We're starting to understand where these players are. Okay, now that's just one element on the Bookmap chart here. Okay, it's already giving us quite a bit of good information here. There's two more elements. Okay, and so let's actually strip off the heat map here for now, and I'm going to put a candlestick on here, and we'll take the volume off as well, the volume dots. Actually, and yeah, we'll take everything off here, put on the candlestick chart. Okay, 5-minute candlestick chart, and then we'll show the best bid and offer here. Okay, so why just best bid and offer? Why not candlesticks? Well, the candlestick is aggregated data within a time period here. Okay? It's done so on purpose, right? So you get kind of an overall feel for what's going on here. That's the problem though, is it's aggregated within this 5-minute period here. We don't have any clue to some of the details here in the microstructure, the speed of these moves. We don't see any of that in the candlestick. It's because it all took place within a 5-minute period here. Okay, so now we can start to understand though with just adding historical best bid and offer here. Okay, the red line is the best offer, historical, and then current over here, and then the green line is the best bid. Okay, so we can already see that we broke out of this little area here. Look at this little pullback here. Okay, we're going to see some pretty big volume here, I imagine, on the buy side. You need that kind of volume to lift the market up out of this big trading range here. Okay, and they do lift it up out. We get a pretty deep pullback here as well. But we're probably going to see, probably won't see a lot of sellers here. We may, but anticipating that we won't see a lot of selling here. And we're going to see more buyers up in these areas here as they lift the offer and the price starts to trend away from this range. Okay, well, we can all see that here, not by the candlestick patterns, but by the microstructure. Okay, so now let's add on the volume. Okay, and here we go. Okay, so yep, big green dots up here in this area here. A little bit of selling here. Here's the retest though, and there's very little selling. Okay, so you kind of have like a little double bottom pattern here. No selling here. The buyers rotate in, more buying at higher highs, and the market continues to lift the offer to the upside here. Okay, and that's what's going on here. Okay, this is pretty typical in a trend. We saw this on Friday. It was fantastic. It was one of the easiest days to read the order flow on Friday. Was very bullish the entire time. Anyway, not the entire time. Until the end of the webinar, we started to see the signs of a potential reversal, and it did. But just for a bit, and then that trend resumed. That's actually one of the patterns we look for in the advanced order flow webinar. Is when and how a trend will resume and what to look for. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Now we've covered basically all three elements. Let me just zoom in a little bit more and go through some of the details here, because this data is so simple. Okay. It looks complex, but it's really, really straightforward. This is about as straightforward as you can get. Okay. Best offer is the red line. Best bid is the green line. Okay, the volume that traded here, this is the aggressor classification of volume, just means market buys and market sells. Green dot is a market buy. Red dot is a market sell. The green dot is they're taking liquidity off of the best offer. Okay, that's where the transactions take place. They're not providing liquidity, they're taking it. And then you see the sells is they're taking liquidity off of the best bid. Okay. Now let's zoom into some of these areas here, because we're not aggregating any data whatsoever. So this is important to know, because as we zoom in here, we'll see truly how these markets trade. Okay. Well, here's a flurry of activity here. And you can see some actually took place outside of the best offer here. It's actually, that's impossible. It's just that we're really zoomed in basically here we're looking at microsecond level, so we're looking at millions of seconds here. Okay, so there's a little bit of latency between, you can see it here, between two different protocols of data, okay, that come into your machine. One is trade data, and the other is quotes data. And there's a little bit of latency here with the quotes data. Okay, so these transactions actually took place when the best offer was over here. Anyway, note though that every single event is recorded very, very precisely. We can use the data tip tool here and go over every single volume dot here. It gives you that very precise data on the time. It gives you the information on the liquidity here on the ask, and then the volume that traded here. Okay. Now, as I zoom back out, though, we do visually, graphically aggregate that into a bigger dot. And now it says volume of 11 on the fourth line of text there. So you can see very clearly, this has more reference or use to you as a trader, that we understand that there was more volume in that bigger dot there. Okay. And now we have reference of it compared to all these other transactions around us. As I continue to zoom out, we'll continue to aggregate just graphically that into a bigger dot. And you can see that, in fact, at a certain point, note how it turns into this pie display here. Okay, so the pie display is showing both buying and selling in here. okay, for a volume of 38. Okay, so that's all it means. It's not that, it just means that there was a lot of different transactions that took place here. If you want them separated out, zoom in and you'll see the details. Okay. All right, so those are two elements. Let's add the third element, and we can take off the candlestick here and put on the heat map. Now we have the three elements on the Bookmap chart, and we can look at the complete market here in terms of what's truly going on, okay, between all the different orders and the auction, both current and historical, and all the different transactions and how it moved the market. Okay, so actually this is one of the setups. This is a higher time frame setup that we look at in the advanced education. Okay, is a return back to where we broke from out of the range here. Okay, so that move up to 17, we never got up to 18. In fact, we got a pretty strong reversal all the way back down to almost where we broke from here. Okay, and then we're fine buyers step right back in though and trade it back up. Okay, kind of in the middle now, as you can see. But anyway, that's a higher time frame outlook on some of the order flow here. Let's see where are they starting to line up here on the bid a little bit here, as you can see. So they are supporting this kind of breakout here. They're starting to support it here at 73.05. Okay, 7,300. The figures down here, yeah, I don't know. It looks kind of like not much going on at the moment. A little bit of sideways action possibly here. We do see some sellers here. So that same setup that we were just looking at is kind of repeating here. Okay, this is where the market dropped from, and we come right to it. Right, this is where we found sellers earlier. Well, we're finding them again. Okay, pretty simple, pretty straightforward, pretty objective. Okay, now usually you'll also see them lined up here. Well, you can see that they were here a bit earlier, but they started to pull that liquidity, and then basically the buyers basically didn't take it any higher here, and the sellers came in right around this area here. Okay, pushing it down. Okay, a lot of transactions going off at the moment here. A little back and forth. All right. Well, anyway, that's the basics here in Bookmap. Starting to go over actually a bit higher time frame order flow analysis. So usually we kind of get into some of the details here with the basic education, because it's important to understand these like book sweeps and liquidity and the relationship between the liquidity and the aggressor here, just to get going in Bookmap and then start to understand it. Okay, and then that same phenomena you're going to see repeat on the higher time frames. Okay, again and again. Okay, so anyway, look at this guy here, 100 lot. Okay, very aggressive here, trying to get price to accept higher here. Just waiting for some buyers to step in up here. Let's see if they can, and then we should get a nice sweep up into maybe 14 here. Okay. Here's our swing though, and our line that we just drew. So they're basically at 12. We need to see more size on the buy side to get it above that 12 up into this 14. Okay, 14, 15. And this guy's been up there for a while. Or these players. Okay, looks pretty good though. Let's see if we can get the move up there. Okay, and you can see this is a critical area here for the sellers. Are we going to accept or reject? Anyway, it's time to go. We'll move on. If you guys are signed up for the Advanced Order Flow webinar, we'll see you over there. Else, we'll catch up with you tomorrow. Okay? All right. Bye-bye.